It's no secret that I'm a gamer. I've done games on this channel in the past, such as Minecraft and Five Nights at Freddy's. But one game I've always wanted to bring to the table was a game that I have grown up with and have come to love. The fan base is poison, the franchise has pretty much stayed true. Ladies and gents, I'm talking about the blue hedgehog known as Sonic. This is going to be a debut episode of a new series of videos on my channel known as the Super Sonic Discussion Show. It'll be a weekly show that talks purely about Sonic the Hedgehog, and it'll be where I discuss any news and updates that are released over time. I'll be doing a South by Southwest discussion shortly after this video, so you can expect that one next week. This week, I want to talk about the many games that Sega has released, whether good or bad, and some of my personal thoughts on those games. I also want to bring forth a new feature known as Question of the Week, where I'll ask you, the viewers, questions as to get some insight on how you feel about Sonic or any of his games. I'll ask that near the end of the video, so let's get this candle lit. Sonic has made a huge impact on a lot of 90s kids growing up and growing tired of Mario games. Don't get me wrong, Mario games were and still are great games to play. In fact, he took the gaming industry by storm since his first game in 1985. However, Sonic the Hedgehog was shown to be much faster and had some pretty popping graphics for its time, and it sold. It made a great name for Sega as a game company as well. This was a mainstay up until about 2006. Where things got a little weird and glitchy. And is Sonic going to the moon? Like, what's the he just dies. Huh. The graphics look not bad, and, yeah. Okay, I can't defend this game. But over time, we've seen an emotional mess of game titles fall out of Sega's hands as if to try to please all of their fans, and have failed on multiple occasions. Sonic Unleashed was a great game, but it had fans raving about how the Werehog was the worst idea since '06. I mean, that's kinda harsh. I mean, beat 'em up is really not Sonic's genre, but I can respect trying to bring back other game styles and testing waters. Minor things aside, Sonic Unleashed is actually one of my many favorite modern Sonic games of all time. In fact, it actually got me back into the Sonic franchise just in time for Sonic Generations' announcement. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like the classic games, not at all. The first classic game I was introduced to as a child was Sonic 1 on a plug-and-play Genesis, and I loved it. Couldn't play it, really, because I sucked at it, but my sister and cousin would play it a lot, and I'd watch them get as far as Starlight Zone. I was amazed. And then about 3 years later, I was introduced to Sonic and Knuckles Collection, and then I started watching the old cartoons, and so on and so forth. So I love the classic side of Sonic franchise. Seeing classic Sonic make a debut, a return? What word do I use for this? Seeing classic Sonic reimagined in modern style game structure was a fantastic concept to me. Nailed it. I love seeing Green Hill with the treatment it deserved at the time. It seemed for a brief moment Sega was finally onto something to get back into the race. And not necessarily against Mario, considering around the same time, Mario and Sonic always went to the Olympics. Quite a lot. It still felt like they were going back to their roots. But then, a weird thing happened. Sonic Boom was announced, and the fans went wild. Sonic and his friends were redesigned and put into a world separate from that of Sonic's mainline games. This wasn't a horribly bad thing, until they tried to put that into an unpolished and rather familiar piece of work. People were saying that Rise of Lyric was worse, if not an exact formula to that of '06. I never played it, so I can't say the same. Sega tried to redeem themselves by bringing nostalgia into some of the new games, but it was still a hard pill to swallow. Lost World looked like it had potential to be Super Mario Galaxy. It literally looks like they ripped the badniks from Sonic 1 and 2 and just threw it in a bag with reject Mario levels and just shook it up a bit and called it a game. Okay, but then they announced something which took this nostalgia into its own form of game. Sonic Mania! I can safely say, having played this game, I am proud of Sega for going into the direction that they did to make this game come into fruition. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are all going on their classic adventure to figure out the strange energy source that is known as the Phantom Ruby. Similar to the Time Stones, this ruby can distort time, but it acts more closely to that of a Chaos Emerald in that it can distort space as well. We see this as evidence when we see Robotnik. Yes, I know he's known as Eggman to a good majority of the fanbase, but I prefer his original name, Robotnik. Teleports the characters from Green Hill to Chemical Plant. I know, they brought back the two levels that were already brought back in Generations, but the team made it make sense to the story. There are still a few problems I had with the game, but I'll discuss those when I do a review on that game later. Anyways, during that same time, we were introduced to what looked like Sonic Generations 2, but then we had confirmation that it wasn't Sonic Generations 2? Wait, but Classic Sonic is in this. It even freaking says from the team that brought you Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors. Great game, by the way. Sonic and some tiny aliens. Out of context, it sounds weird, but it was a great concept. As the game released, it had a lot of fans disappointed. Sonic Forces was the title, and it just... How can this be by the same people who made Sonic Generations? Classic Sonic controls like crap. I mean, I like the custom avatar and everything, but I had such high hopes. We can't ignore the fact that the people who made this... are the same people who made this. I mean, why is Green Hill Zone back? That's kind of redundant when you already have a game that brings back the classic characters and levels, but then you make another game that practically forces us to, play these levels again. I mean, why? Looking at the credits, we can see why this pales into comparison to Sonic Colors and Sonic Unleashed in Sonic Generations. None of the level developers from any of those games are involved into this. Only like one from Lost World, which is a confused soul of a Sonic game alone, and two newbies. I mean, I personally kind of like the game, but it just... Well, it looks like I can wrap up this... Oh, I can't. I still have two games I haven't talked about. Two games the fans would kill me for not at least mentioning in this video. The adventure games. During the times of 1997 and 2001, Sega was working on a Sonic Adventure game series. The first one was alright, having been Sonic's first real attempt to come to 3D. It captured the essence of Sonic and his friends at the time, but it had many flaws. Those flaws made it a jewel though, and to this day, I can say it's way more playable than 06 ever will be. Sorry 06 fans. I have love for the game, but let's face it, it just isn't as good as it really could have been. Sonic Adventure 2 introduces two new playable characters known as Rouge the Bat and Shadow the Hedgehog. The story was darker and it did a better job telling it. If you played the hero side, you were able to play the story from Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles' perspective. And if you played Team Dark, you had the ability to see it from Shadow, Eggman, and Rouge's side. After you played both sides, you unlocked the last part of the story. Sega really outdid themselves when it came to Sonic Adventure 2. To this day, it is still one of my favorite games. Knuckles' levels weren't all that great, and Tails' levels were crap compared to his levels in the first Sonic Adventure, but there were a lot of things about SA2 that make up for some of the flaws. SA2 is not perfect in any way, but I like it like that. It's playable, the story is fun to follow, the characters are enjoyable to play as. Mostly. I've never 100%ed the game before, so I may never experience that unlockable Green Hill Zone. Wait, what? Anyways, guys, that about does it for this video. Question of the week. What are your top 3 favorite Sonic games, and what are some of your most memorable times playing them? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll be sure to read as many as I can. Hit the like button if you want to see more videos like this, and if you're at all new, I definitely suggest subscribing and hitting that post notifications button so you never miss a single video. Have a great Easter, and have an amazing week. So long, and I'll catch you in the next one. Out!